Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychek with Queen Bee Creations, and as you can see, we're going to be doing some projects using this Lovers of Flowers. Now this is a new IOD transfer that's out. It is a bunch of book pages from a poetry book on flowers and things, and so we're kind of doing, well, I want to do a number of different looks. I want to give you different ideas on how to be able to treat this. They're all going to be smalls and they're all from different thrifted frames. So we've got these two mirrors and we're going to leave them as mirrors. We're going to be applying transfers to them. I have this plastic frame that we're going to zhuzh up. And it has a backing that we can pop in, a backing, and then slide in here and then hang from. So obviously we can't leave it looking like this. And then I have these two things. So I actually got a pack of 4 of these for $3. And then I got a pack of 2 of these guys for $3. Both of which were less than my senior's discount of 30%. And this one actually is like a, almost like an embroidery hoop, right? It's got the little hanging hardware on the top, but this, the faux wood, is actually plastic and this pops out. So, I'm thinking I'm gonna leave it the faux wood look. I am holding off on painting it. Firstly, because it's kind of flexible and I don't want paint cracking. Secondly, you're not going to see the inside at all. You'll just see this outside wood frame. And I think with some of the florals, because they've got that kind of old Elizabethan kind of look to them, that I think that the wood might go. And this is actually really well done. Like, it looks like wood. So that one I think that we're going to leave and we're not going to paint. And what comes next is deciding on project pieces, because what we want to do floral wise very much determines colors and finishes on our frames. So I'm thinking this big one is going to go on this frame, and then what? Then what am I thinking? Glasses, Cindy. I'm thinking this one, or this one. No, this one would fit in this one. So I'm just gonna cut them out and lay them out on their respective project boards, because that will help. You could fit this. Are you the one I want? I don't think so. Did I want violets? I think I want to go with the violets. I think we'll go with violets. Most because it's kind of darker. So I think that matching it with that natural wood frame, well, natural wood look frame, would work best. There we go. So that's that one. And then we've got our little square guide. And for this, there are a number of just big floral pieces in here. You're a little too big. I was thinking of one of them, but which way do I want to go? All right, I'm not sure if it'll be a poppy or sunflower. I haven't decided what I'm doing with this. I can't leave it pure gold because it's too gold. But do I mind that gold? I'm leaning toward the poppy, just between you and I, actually. So it has a bit of color. So let me cut that one out and lay it with that so that it lets me know that's what I'm thinking. And it fits in there quite nicely. All right, so colors. I am gonna paint this black. I'm gonna paint it in the DIY black, which is my clay-based paint, because I want to definitely distress these edges for this. This is gonna be mostly flat, but we'll have the gold, and I can add some gold back in, just because this particular one has kind of that slightly Victorian kind of look to it. I'm not going to attach the transfer until after I've painted, but I'm going to paint that black. This one we're leaving as is. I already feel like I'm done. We still have to attach the transfer to things. This one I'm thinking I might want to do a green. I'm gonna check out my greens just for something different. I don't want to do them all the same for you. I want you to see different colors with different looks. So I'm thinking green. And you are my problem child. There's always one that gives me a little bit more of a run for my money. This is such a big, heavy frame that I am debating what to do with it because it's so big. So in my head, I'm kind of debating painting it green with an all-in-one, and then painting it a white and distressing back to the green with all the swirls to kind of highlight in here. And I may do that just for fun. Let's do that for fun. Okay, we have a plan. Deal. Ow. All right. So I'm gonna get this painted black. I'm gonna get my green on this one so you can see as I go to add my white. You get to stay the wood look, and you are going a lighter green. So I'm talking a darker green here. Okay, it's a plan. Let me get painting, and then we'll come back and we'll start talking about it a little bit more. This mirror. This is the one that I had thought that I would paint like a dark green, and I used Bayberry by Fusion. And then I had thought I'm gonna paint it white and distress back to the green. So I left it to dry overnight, and I have to tell you, I love the green. I think I'm gonna leave it. So I have to put another coat on. I just did one single coat because I was using it as a base. And I love using an all-in-one as a base underneath something like DIY clay-based paint, which is not an all-in-one, and that is reactivated with water. So I can distress back through that second coat, in this case it was gonna be white, back to the green without disturbing the green at all. Right? So if you use like a chalk paint or the clay-based paint over top of a product like Fusion, this becomes your base. So I've decided I'm gonna do different. So I'm gonna get a light second coat on this one because it's too gorgeous a green. This one, oh my goodness, this big one, we painted black. Now, this one I do want to distress, so I did it in the DIY. I have a damp cloth, and this has got that gold underneath. And we're just going to be, it's going to so easily distress back to that gold. So we're gonna highlight that. So I'm going to get this distressed. I'm just wet distressing because that DIY just gets reactivated and it distresses so easily without a lot of muss and fuss. And then I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm going to seal it. You can seal it with a clear wax, you can seal it with a polyacrylic of your choice, whatever works for you. Either is perfectly okay. But I'm gonna get it sealed and let that dry before we come to doing the center part of this. Our little round plastic frame, I have painted in DIY Apothecary, just this nice pale green. I'm gonna get that lightly distressed and sealed as well. So when I get this dry and ready to seal, I'll seal the other as well, do it all at once. And then we'll come back. The green frame should be dry, show you what I'm gonna do with that one. And then once our frames are all done, then we can start focusing on the insides. We've got our second coat on this. It's just such a lovely color green. Okay, what I wanna do is still highlight the raised areas. So I'm gonna take DIY Golden Rule, which is a gold wax, just on the tip of my finger. And I'm just going to add it just nice and light. This is, you could use like a gilding wax if you'd like. They just tend to be, I mean, I like them and I use them for things. I'm just going for a slightly softer look. Let me just get a little bit more done over here and I'll show you what I mean. Just down along here. So see how that just brings out some of those details, but it's still very soft and very translucent. This paint is self-sealing because we use the Fusion, so I don't need to seal that. And this wax, once it's dry, is also sealed. So once this is done, I'm not gonna have to do anything else to the exterior of this. I can just get started on the mirror part. While our big frames are drying, because I've added the top coat to them, and they look awesome, I want to get started on our two other small frames. Now, we have this frame, which works kind of like as an embroidery hoop, and we're going to do this on fabric. And what I have is an old linen, and not napkin, handkerchief. That's the word, that's the word. And what I want to do, I'm gonna cut the words out. I'm going to be applying them, but I might want to raise them a little bit higher depending upon how much room I have for them within the frame. So I'm going to put this on, and I just want to leave enough space so that when I put it in, I still have a little bit of a fabric lip there, if that makes sense. Because when I put it through the hoop, I need that fabric to catch on both sides. So that looks like it would be pretty good. So I'm just gonna put my little stick down at the bottom where I want this to go. And I'm gonna line this up. Now, we can affix this to fabric. I'm affixing it to fabric that is not like my jeans or, you know, something that has to be washed all the time. This isn't going to be capable of withstanding washing or a lot of handling, etc. So it's going to be fine as it is. And I'm doing it on a fabric that's going to be in a frame so I don't have to seal it. You know, if I was putting this on furniture, then I certainly want to seal it up and protect it, but it's going to be on a frame and it's going to be hanging on the wall. So I'm not even going to have to worry about that. So this takes a little bit of pressure, and this is going to attach fairly well to this because it's kind of a fine, tight woven fabric. So you can see that that's already sticking and transferring onto my fabric just fine. The coarser, the more open the weave, the more challenging that transfer is going to be. But, you know, something like this, look at how lovely, look at how easy that goes on. Look Look how lovely that is on the fabric. Just beautiful. And I love this idea of combining this with like old linens and things. Just, it's such a cool way of using those. So what I do want to do is just check and see for my words now where placing them would work. All right, so the top is going right in there. Stop already. Okay, now the words are a little bit trickier because they're so individual. You know, a lot of this is all like one big attached piece. So just go slow and, you know, do the lift up a little bit, see what's sticking, what you still need to ensure sticks. So just take your time with it and it'll work just fine. Look at how pretty that transfers onto that fabric. It's just gorgeous. So the next step in this process is just to kind of line it up. We've got to do it over top of this, kind of center it how I would maybe like. Try and get it straight, because then we're going to be pushing it into this frame. And then you can go around the outside. Once it's in your frame, you can go around the outside and gently kind of pull it in each direction all the way around that frame to be able to tighten it up. And when you have it as tight as you want, if it's lined up the way you want, then you need to go and cut all around the backing, cut all this excess fabric. Now, I'm not gonna get rid of this excess fabric because it's got this lovely little stitched border. So I will save that for other projects because it too is lovely and I'm not gonna waste it. For our plastic frame, this is the one that we painted in Apothecary. It's been distressed and sealed. You remember it just had this plastic backing. So I cut a piece of cardboard to fit in that opening. Now, you could have gotten a different kind of board, maybe something that was smoother, cut a piece of wood perhaps, and then just painted that as your background. You could have covered this with fabric. I am just going a different route, and I cut a piece of pale yellow cardstock, and that's going in instead, and it'll just kind of insert in there. So all I'm looking at is adding my transfer to paper. And again, I'm not going to have to seal this afterward because I'm not going to be manhandling it. I'm not going to be touching it once it's hanging up on my wall. So your transfers will go directly onto paper, no problem. And I get people that ask those things all the time. Can I use them on fabrics? Can I use them on leathers? They love leather. Can I use them on paper? Can I use them on glass? Absolutely. The difference is that think about how you intend to use that particular item and whether it needs to be sealed. So you could put your transfers onto a purse, right? But the more that your purse is really flexible and that you're going to be moving it around, the more you might get some cracks. I've used transfers on chair backs, on fabric chair backs and on leather chairs and things like that. And it's all a question of, you know, I'm probably not going to use that on a really puffy cushion because as you sit, that cushion automatically starts to, you know, crease and buckle, and that may be more likely to crack the transfer. All right, so that transferred beautifully onto there. Now the only challenge I've got is that I want to make sure that my hanging tab is lined up with the top, so that as I go to turn this, hopefully my paper turns with it. And it didn't. Oh, but I can turn it anyway. Just really cute, nice and romantic. Okay, two done. Awesome. All right, let me go grab my frames. And what I am gonna do with the frames is I am gonna take my X-Acto knife and go around on all of the mirrored glass and make sure that there's no paint that's left on there, that has stuck on there. So I'm going to remove any of the paint from painting all the edgings. And I'm gonna take some glass cleaner and clean that mirror part off. I don't want to have all kinds of dirt or crud that gets trapped underneath my transfer, because then my transfer won't adhere properly. So always make sure that you've got a really super clean surface before you start to attach them. Look how great that frame looks. And it actually goes this way. And that's one thing I always forget. I have to check to make sure that when I do these, I do them the right side up. Otherwise I have to change the hanging hardware, which is a pain. This was a Bombay Company frame. Now, if you like the look of this one, bear in mind, this is almost like a double frame. You could take this small little mirror and then just find a frame that it fits into, and can simply glue the two together, which I often do to get this kind of layered effect. Now, originally we had planned on this, which would look okay, but remember I debated the sunflower? Now, because they stayed in the green, I'm thinking this is the one to do. So we're just doing the one flower into it, and you know, allow yourself the right and the grace to change your mind. I changed my mind on that black frame. We were planning on painting it white and distressing back to some of the black and gold. No, it was this one. I was going to paint this white and distress back to the green. I love it with that green and that subtle gold now. I can't even imagine doing it the other way. So as we changed our mind on it, you know, so too did we change our mind on the flower. And we're gonna do this exactly the same way. You know, when we do the transfers on glass or we do them on a mirror, the transfers love that slick surface, and they're gonna go on super easy. I'm just making sure I get all the little edges of it, but like it's on already. It's done. It's going yahoo! I love that. Look how cute that looks. Nothing fancier than that. I mean, it was just the paint job on the frame. When we're looking at doing this one, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing. And again, I think that this particular transfer with the gold, because this is darker, richer colors, it's going to look awesome. And we have barely, you know, this is 4 different projects using this transfer, and we still have tons of smalls that we're able to do with it. So if you're looking at gift giving, or you're looking at small items to sell in your booth, transfer like this. Sorry, just kind of eyeballing, and I didn't want to risk talking at the same time. But transfers like this are a great way to go, because you're not using the entire transfer on one big project, which means you have to have a high price point if you were reselling on it. You know, here we're able to get the full transfer and use it for a lot of multiple small projects, which allows our money investment in the transfer to go significantly further. And it means that we can keep the price point of our projects a lot smaller because we're not trying to recoup the entire price of the whole transfer all at once. And really, you know, in your booths, having small picture frames with some of the transfers. I mean, the painting took the longest time. I mean, check that out. Now, this is one I didn't check. And of course, my hanging hardware is down here. It's on the side, which I didn't need. Oh, I thrifted that frame for $4.99. So I'm gonna have to pop that out and adjust it up here. No biggie, but if you double check and you're not talking away on the camera at the same time, then you'll be okay. So, you know, what I wanted to do in this video was to give you some different ideas. You can see the difference in terms of just the color of the frame and the look of the frame. Doing your transfer on a piece of paper, but this looks so much richer now that we've painted that out. We've got it on fabric for a different look. I love the look of now that faux wood on that frame with that transfer. That looks great. So different ways that you could, in fact, use them, different looks, either for your home, for gifts, or again, if you have a book or a small shop, different looks are going to appeal to different people, and you can get a big variety out of using the same transfer pack, but just picking up the colors in different ways, applying them in different ways, painting out the frames in different ways. You've got a lot of flexibility. I hope this gave you some ideas and some looks that you can achieve using whatever transfer of your choice. It doesn't have to be this one, but ways of being able to break it up into some smalls so that you get a little bit more mileage for the money you've invested. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think of this one, and I look forward to seeing you on the next. Until then, take care.